Hello everyone, and welcome back to my Let's Play series, Can I Beat Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time before the remake releases? I am S.A.N, and when we last left off, I spent way too long getting through the Gerudo Fortress, and we did the first part of the Spirit Temple in the past as Young Link, and now we're back here as Adult Link. So, we're going to be going through the remaining section of the Spirit Temple here. I honestly don't know how long we're going to be going that way through that block. That's where we have to go. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. So I might also be able to get the Spirit Temple done, sorry, Shadow Temple done today, because we can just go with that after this. And I might try my hand at the Gerudo Training Grounds. However, it's very difficult to get through that. And that's completely side content and optional, so I may not get through it. We'll have to wait and see on that. So this eastern room here basically mirrors the western room we went through as Young Link, complete with a Beamos and the 3 sealed doors and the blade trap. So we have to take care of this Beamos because otherwise it's going to be annoying. And then we need to trigger that crystal switch up there. Alright. There we go. So that unseals both the doors. Once again, we have a locked door here we need a key for. So we're going to have to go through one of these doors. Stays there? Alright. Let's see. Ah, okay. Another silver rupee puzzle. I remember this one. If I remember... Ow! Okay. If I remember correctly, we have to leap off to get to that one. The rest of these are much easier to get. So let's get those first. Alright. Yeah, the Spirit Temple is full of traps like this. Lots of rolling boulders, lots of blade traps, lots of Beamos, lots of shifting walls. We'll see those coming up. Alright, so I think this is the last one. Okay, there's no hook shot point. Well, maybe it's invisible with, and we can see it with the lens of truth. Let's see. Nope, no such luck. It's just not there. Alright. Does that block move here with A Song of Time? Let's see how that... Oh, nothing happened. Was it too far away? I was like 5 feet from it. Alright, try this again. Alright. Okay, there's a golden skull tulip behind it. That's why it's there. No, it goes over there. Okay. Well, I might as well get this golden skull tulip while I'm here. As I said, I'm definitely not getting all of them. However, we might be able to get enough to get to the next reward, which is at 30. I have to see. Alright, so this is just leaping off, I guess? Maybe a rolling leap when the boulder is not in the way? Okay, that's close. So I think that's why we're doing it. I imagine one way we can do this is if we had the hover boots, which is the magic item we get in the Shadow Temple. We could float over there. I came here first before doing the Shadow Temple, so I do not have the hover boots. Yeah, I think that boulder is going to continuously get in the way. Alright. Might need a different approach here. Fortunately, this doesn't cause too much damage. Yeah, I'm just shy of that. If I had the hover boots, it would be perfectly fine. Yeah, is there anything... I can't just hook shot to the rupee. That is not how the hook shot works. This is... Ironically, this might be easier if I had the boomerang. Then again, I think these silver rupees are unaffected by that. Yeah, I can't jump attack or back flip through there, so... I have to do something else. Just double check everything with the lens of truth, but no. Lens of truth gets a lot more use in the Shadow Temple than it does here, in all honesty. Again, part of the reason for that is probably because, as I said, the medallions were all supposed to be magical items you could use, and there's a good chance, there's evidence in the code that people have examined that the Spirit Medallion, the medallion we get from this temple, was supposed to have the power of the Lens of Truth. That's why we are supposed to come here first originally. That's why I decided to come here originally, even though in the actual game, they want you to go to the Shadow Temple first. Not sure why I'm playing the Song of Time here, if I'm being perfectly honest. Alright, that just resets that. Alright, have to give this some thought here. Alright, we're definitely not getting anywhere rolling and backflipping, and I don't think I can jump far enough without the hover boots, so... You could hook shot onto these stone wall things here. Can I hook shot onto... Oh, okay. Oh, wait, that might work. I think I just got the angle wrong. Also, I don't take damage from hitting the boulder. That's nice. Alright, yeah, I have to get the angle right here, I think. Should be good, I think. There we go. Alright, and now we can proceed. Yeah, okay. Sudden, spontaneous like. I haven't used the fire arrows yet. Let's try those out. They're immune to fire arrows? They're not immune to regular arrows. Or is this just one of those things where it's locked in a specific animation and I can't hit it? Yeah, likes are tricky. In close quarters, it's probably best to hit it with the sword. There we go. Okay, maybe it's the angle. I usually just avoid those things. But yeah, I tend to kill them from range with a bow. Honest, the sad part is that might be probably the most used the fire arrows get all game. They are not actually all that useful, especially not when we can just cast Din's Fire. Alright. So we have the key now, we go back to where we came, but there is that other room there, which probably has something important in it. We should probably check that first. Alright, what is in here? Alright, a Triforce Crest, and a Wolfos. I remember this room. No point in fighting that Wolfos, by the way. It'll just run off and fall off. Alright, Zelda's Lullaby time. Alright, there we go. Now we have a chest we can use as a hookshot target. Alright, map or compass? It's probably one of the two. It's definitely not the treasure item in this. Alright, it's the compass. I honestly would have preferred the map. I like getting the map first, but the compass does help. Alright, once again, do not bother with the Wolfos. We do not get anything for defeating it. Alright, and now lastly, let's go through the luck door. Alright, oh! Stop dropping likes on me! Alright, so I have to get the angle right here. Ow. And then just, yeah, kill the Master Sword. Yeah, likes have a weird sort of invulnerability to damage in certain animations from certain angles. It's a very odd, they're a very odd enemy in this game. Obviously, I don't want to get absorbed by a like because it'll eat my shield or tunic I'm wearing, and then I have to fight to get it back. Okay, oh, okay, I think we need the, yeah, we need the Lens of Truth here. Ah, Floor Master. Alright, and now I'm going to need Din's Fire. Well, I'm glad I'm getting to showcase so much magic at this point, because that's one of the main complaints I have about Ocarina of Time, is the various magic items and spells you get. They're not as useful as they are in other games, like especially like Link to the Past, which I always compare Ocarina of Time to, because I played the two of them roughly the same time. You, like, seriously, I mean, the Gerudo Training Grounds contains the ice arrows. Let's be honest, if I came here in the right order, I'd be going to the Gerudo Training Grounds after this, which would be the final temple. It's just like, why? The positioning for certain items is ridiculous, and most of the magic you get in this game is in the latter half, and it doesn't actually have much use in only specific circumstances. I mean, Din's Fire is devastating, and Nehru's Love is very powerful, but honestly, apart from that, you only need them on a handful of occasions, and I love the Lens of Truth. It's one of my favorite magic items of all time. But again, it's not very useful, and yeah, oh yeah, there's also traps in here, by the way. Lots of traps, including trap treasure chests. Kind of wish they did this a bit more in the other dungeons, but this is kind of it's for this one, and a bit in the Shadow Temple as well. Alright, so now we're through here. You may recognize this chamber. We were here before. Oh, this is an actual Armos this time, not just a statue. Alright, well, we can kill it with a Master Sword now. Alright. Have to figure out what I have to do in this room, because there's a couple of chests we can get here. Speaking of Din's Fire, I'm probably going to use it to light those torches there. Right, yeah, so this is the switch we triggered last time with this statue. I'm going to do so again now. I mean, we already explored the upper western side of this temple, so there's probably no need. Still, just might as well do it while I'm here. Alright, lighting these torches is definitely required to get one of the chests, so let's do that. And see, I'm probably not going to make too much use of the fire arrows. There's not much use for them here. There's not much use for them in the Shadow Temple. And that just leaves the final dungeon, which is Ganon's Tower. Which I think it does get some use, but it's not important. Anyway, this will be the map, because we already have the compass. And as I said, this is not where we get the dungeon item yet. Alright, so now we have to get the other chest in here, because I'm pretty sure the chest in there has a key, and we cannot proceed until we get it. So obviously there's a golden skull tool over there. I'm fairly certain I cannot just, yeah, there's no chest that's invisible. That's a thing, by the way, in the Shadow Temple. We'll be getting to that probably later, so that's why I keep checking that, because that is something that this game does. And they use invisible chests as hookshot targets all the time. Alright, so we have to go to the other side here. Yeah, so I'm not going to be able to get everything, because as I said, I don't have the hover boots. For example, that's probably how we get across there. Alright, I have to get to that crest there, and I have to play Zelda's Lullaby. Because that, I believe, is how we get the key out here. Oh, okay. Not quite far enough. Again, this is probably another point in which we were supposed to have the hover boots for. Well, I do not have the hover boots, so I'll have to find another way. That's fine. I double-checked. The hover boots are not necessary for completing this dungeon. I wanted to make sure of that before I actually decided to come here. I didn't want to soft block myself or anything like that. Because it'd be really annoying if I had to give up on the Spirit Temple and then go to the Shadow Temple and come back. Fortunately, we do not need the hover boots. It's just a simple matter of figuring out the right way of doing this without it. It's probably going to be have to roll to get to it. Alright, this torch is kind of in the wrong way there, so alright, let's see if I can. There we go, just enough space. Alright, time for Zelda's Lullaby one more time. Now, if I remember correctly, this spawns a chest on the opposite hand of this statue. There it is. Alright, so we should be able to use the long shot to get to that, but probably not from here. That's a bit far. Alright, so let's go back up the other way and get that chest, because I'm pretty sure that's the key. Might as well go all the way to the top. Get a better vantage point for it. Alright, just angle this correctly. Nope, a bit higher. There we go. And there's the key we need to get out of here. We are actually making pretty good time on this dungeon. I probably could have included this in the end of the last episode if I wanted to. It would have made that episode go over 2 hours as opposed to this one. However, I was kind of frustrated with having to, you know, with the Gerudo fortress. Alright, let's use the fire out here, because these things are weak to fire, and it's going to take a lot of castings of Din's fire to get rid of all of them. Okay, anyway, just take out a few more of them. I find it funny that an enemy that breathes fire and attacks you with fire is vulnerable to fire. That's a bit of a difference. Alright. There we go. I also find it funny that sometimes the Beamos requires 2 bombs to get rid of, and sometimes it's only 1. I assume this is the Ring of Fire trap? Yeah, probably last time. Alright. Alright, well that requires a key, so I can't go that way. Oh, I remember this room. Okay, yeah. So, this is kind of an unusual puzzle. Not difficult, it's just the way it's done is unusual. This is a blue switch, we obviously have to weigh down with something. The only thing in here to weigh down with are the Armos statues. Unlike a lot of the other times you do this, all of these Armos are active. They're all living ones, which means we have to get one of them to go over it. Which gives us a very brief amount of time to get to the door before it closes. Alright, let's try that again. Like I said, this puzzle's not very difficult, but it's very, very different than the way they normally do these things. Alright. And as I said, this temple largely mirrors itself on both sides, so that should be a hint about what's up here. Yeah. There's also some invisible chests here now. And we're going to get hearts. Anything more useful on this side, apart from just heart? No. Why bother even having those chests? I have no idea. Alright, this room should look familiar. It's another iron knuckle. Which definitely means they're gonna need Neru's love here. Alright, round 2 of this. No point in taking it easy against one of the hardest enemies in the entire game. So just like last time, the trick is to circle around the iron knuckle and attack its armor. And try not to get hit, but Neru's love is going to help with that. I love how Neru's love sends you to protect you from damage, but you still go flying from the axe blow. It's actually quite realistic. It's like, yep, the spell protects you from damage, but not inertia. A lot of other video games, especially at the time, would have just ignored that entirely. You just stand there, unfazed. Alright, this shouldn't take too much longer because I have the Master Sword. There we go. Down it goes. Yeah. As we covered last time, the Master Sword does more damage than the Kokiri Sword does. It's not the strongest sword in the game, but I don't want to go through the training sequence to get the Big Goron Sword, especially not at this point. Alright, and here we have the second dungeon item. Rare that there's 2 in a row. 2 in one dungeon, but there is. We now have the Mirror Shield. It can reflect light or energy, which is why there's all those light switches here now. Now we can do those puzzles with ease. We basically have no longer any use for the Hylian Shield either. So, as far as I know, the mirror shield cannot be stolen by like-likes either. That's nice. Alright, so now we have to do the light switch here. This is pretty simple. Just, you take out your shield and just angle the light beam up at it. Alright, this will be the key I need. There we go. Well, we are making good time on this dungeon. I think this actually is... I think I did cover half of it in the previous video. Well... Oh well. Shorter video last week, longer video this week, it all balances out. I really need to stop rolling into those things. Alright, what's through this locked door? Oh, this room. So in case you cannot tell from the tone of my voice there, I remember this room because it's kind of annoying to navigate. I'll show you why in a minute after we take care of these Beamos. They are not the annoying part. You remember I mentioned shifting walls? Well, we're going to have to deal with that now. Yeah, alright. So as you can see, these wall segments will shift. And we can actually use the hook shot to get there. Bit of the ways. So if we are moving in between these wall segments, when they move, we are flung off. Like that. Exactly like that. Get used to seeing that because it's going to happen quite a bit probably. So we have to time this very carefully, but we can't take our too long because otherwise we will be thrown into the spikes. Yeah, as you can see, because the wall segments will go all the way in. So, this is a slightly trickier puzzle than some of the other ones in this dungeon. Yeah, because it's all about timing. Alright, we managed to make it back down at least. Alright, I think I need to start moving upward now. There we go. Ow! Took two. I was too quick there. Alright. At least we can skip part of it with the hook shot. Ah, and down I go again. I know we flash red, but we don't actually take damage. Yeah. Hang on a second. I think something just occurred to me in the past. Yeah, can I not just hook shot? Oh, yeah, does the long shot reach all the way up? Oh, for crying out loud, it does. Well, that simplifies this immensely. I need to remember that for next time. Alright, another Triforce Crest. And that means Zelda's Lullaby one more time. Alright, and what's in here? Okay, this is the boss. Also, Slug Buzz, good! I can kill them to get magic jars. I've been using a lot of magic so far. I'd rather keep my potions for as long as I can. The good news is we don't need too much magic for the boss in this dungeon. So, there's that. That's a good thing. Alright. I think we need to do something, yeah. So we have to get to that switch to deactivate this Ring of Fire. Pretty standard puzzle design by this point in this game. We've done this a few times. Alright, no invisible platforms. Because even if they're invisible, we can still hookshot to them. So we probably need to find a way to make a platform appear beneath this target. Probably something to do with all these fake doors. Well, in that case, I'm going to bomb all of them. Just to find out which one contains what we need. Alright. Going through quite a few bombs here. Fortunately, we don't need those too much either. Alright. Okay, so there's an ice switch there, and that seems to be the only thing we've uncovered. Alright. Hit the ice switch with the bow. This is probably timed, so I need to be quick. Missing twice did not help. Alright. Now it's just a simple matter of getting to it before the timer resets. There we go. Now we have the boss key. Alright, and yeah, we're gonna be heading there shortly. Alright, quick turn up here. So we are now in a chamber that is directly above the Colossus statue we saw earlier. Right, slash the crystal switch, which will unlock this door. We now have to redirect a beam of light to that mirror to use to solve the rest of this puzzle. Oh, Zalphos. Always find it funny when the beam of light comes off the mirror shield even when you don't need it. I mean, that is how refraction works, so... Yeah, alright. Let's get the switch up there. Alright. What's in here? Bombs! I guess they knew we were going to be using quite a few of those in that previous chamber. I guess this is here in case we either used too many or we hadn't done that yet. Alright, so these are the white bubbles. They're kind of like the light-based versions of the ones we've been fighting before. In all honesty, they're even easier to defeat because they spin in place for a fair bit. Alright, we also need bombs to blow this up. Alright, now let's redirect the light that way by turning the mirror. Yeah, and everyone who has only played Tears of the Kingdom now will realize why the desert temples and shrines in the Gerudo Desert in that game had such a light theme, because, well, this temple has a light theme as well, because this is where we get the mirror shield. Alright, now we need to go back to where we came. Alright, now we just stand on in the light and reflect it at the sun switch there. There we go. So this will lower us down into the chamber with the goddess statue we saw earlier. Alright, and they say you should be careful of too much sunlight. Well, she definitely should, because directing the sunlight at her face causes it to disintegrate. Alright, and now we just simply have to long shot across. Alright, time for a boss fight. Sort of. I'll explain in a moment. Alright, so here we have the Twinrova witches again. They're Kome and Kotake, I think? Yeah, Kotake. Kome and Kotake. So these are the witches who raised Ganondorf, essentially. And they are also the ones in charge of this temple. Yeah, so they are the bosses we will be facing in a bit. But first, they're going to send one of their minions after us. And it's a third Iron Knuckle. Apparently they haven't really learned the fact that we've dealt with two of these already with relative ease. Nope, this one doesn't have its axe. But it can snap his fingers and magically summon it. Alright, so Iron Knuckle, but something is strange about this one. Well, let's start by casting Nehru's Love, because a magic barrier that protects me from all harm can only help in this fight. Strategy-wise, this is identical to the previous two fights against Iron Knuckle. Circle it, attack it from behind with the Master Sword. Try and avoid getting hit with the axe too many times, even though we're not going to take any damage. Almost there. I wonder if Link enjoys getting thrown around like that when he can't take damage. Probably not. Alright, so as you can see, there's no phase 2 here, and yeah. It's Naburu, the Gerudo thief who helped us when we were younger, and she was brainwashed and imprisoned in that armor by the Twinrova sisters. By defeating the Iron Knuckle, we freed her from their spell. And yes, by the way, it's been confirmed by people who have done data mining and stuff and moving cameras around. The other Iron Knuckles in this game are likewise Gerudo women who have been captured, imprisoned, and brainwashed in suits of armor. So, oops. I mean, it does showcase just how evil these two are. Yeah, and okay, apparently they capture her one more time. Alright, now, despite the fact we already went through the boss door, we proceed through here for the boss fight proper now. And now, it is time for, yeah, I'm going to say first, for quite possibly my favorite boss fight in this game. It kind of makes up a little bit for the fact that Gerudo Fortress is so terrible to get through. The temple itself is fun, though. Alright. So, obviously we have to take them down, because we can't allow this to continue. And time for one of the best introductions in Zelda history. With my flame, I will burn him to the bone. With my frost, I will freeze him to his soul. That's a great introduction for a villain, in all honesty. So, as you can see, one's fire and one's ice. And their magic is similarly themed that way. And we have the Mirror Shield, which is capable of reflecting magical energy. So, yeah. I promise you this is probably a much more original bat theme for a boss fight back in the 90s. Even though, again, we already had it kind of... You remember Trinex from Link to the Past? This is quite similar. One of them is vulnerable to fire, the other is vulnerable to frost. And we need to use the Mirror Shield, so they'll create beams of energy. One will create a frost and ice beam, and the other will create a fire beam. We have to redirect one at the other. And also try and not get hit ourselves. The downside is I think Z targeting here is probably not going to help too much. Because Z targeting kind of just means we face the shield forward or we have to redirect it again. Okay. Also, if the beam strikes the platform, it'll create flame and ice across it that we'll have to worry about as hazards. So, apart from the fact it's going to take a little bit of effort to get the positioning of this right, for the reflection we need to do. There we go. Yeah. Also, I'm trying to use the C stick to manipulate things when I'm supposed to be using the actual joystick, because I'm used to using the C stick to look around other Zelda games, but it doesn't work in this one. Alright, so that's one reflection down. I think at this point I figure out it's probably easier to not use Z targeting and just use the standard. The other reason it's an issue is because there's two of them, and it'll keep switching between them. Wow, we're getting a lot of spells from Katoke here. Oh, okay, oh, I think I just got caught in the... There we go, yep. Looks like this is a unique freezing effect, I find. Also, yeah, their magic does a fair bit of damage in here too. As you can see quite clearly there, their fire and ice will eat through my hearts quite quickly, so I have to be careful. Alright. Oh, she's behind me. Alright, well, that was a waste. There we go. Finally, this is turn. I don't think we don't do this too many times before we get to phase 2. Missed. That's fine. At least I'm not taking any damage. That's preferable. Yeah, okay. The other problem with Z targeting, obviously, is because I want you to refocus and look on the direction they're coming, but I'll accidentally lock onto them. Alright. Nope, missed. Alright, maybe this one. They're close together again, so this is one of the best times to do it. Missed. Yeah, Z targeting really does not help in this fight. I also don't think it's worth going onto the side platforms, because it really doesn't help with the aiming at all. There we go. Okay. Alright, phase 2. Double dynamite attack. So now they fuse into one witch who is rather flirtatious. Alright, so for phase 2, we do need to use, it's better to use that targeting, because we're not having to redirect beams anymore. She'll cast individual magical blasts of fire and ice at us now. We have to catch the magical blasts with the mirror shield and sort of store up the energy multiple times. We need to store 3 of the same magical blast, and then, once it's overflowing with magic power, it releases in a blast of either fire or cold, and then we stun her and we leap over and actually attack her with the sword. It is important to only get the 3 of the same element, though. So if it's fire, collect 3 fire. If it's ice, collect 3 ice. If you go back and forth, you'll have to start over again. And you'll never get anywhere. As with before, if her magical blasts strike the ground, they'll spread whatever element they are across the ground, and you'll probably get trapped like that. Alright, so here's Fire Blast. Okay, I hit her with the jump attack, but I missed the rest of it. Jump attacks aren't all that useful here. Alright, there we go. Now I need to collect 2 more Frost Blasts. She will start alternating at some point. Alright. Oh, but not yet, apparently. Alright. Now we get that with the sword. This is quite similar to Aghanim in a lot of ways, and Trinex, and a lot of other fights. This isn't an example of the Dead Man's Volley like with Phantom Ganon and Aghanim, but it's quite similar. Alright. So, next one's going to be another Fire Blast. There we go, now she's going to start switching. Also, just trying to get caught in the actual blast itself, or you'll freeze. There we go. Alright, and there we go. The magic blast is forth, and we gotta loop across. Oh, you can do a jump attack that way if you want. There we go! Easy second phase. Honestly, phase 1 is much harder, just because of the aiming. That's probably my favorite boss fight in this game. It's really fun. I think you have other problems, ladies. Yeah, this is an interesting concept here of showcasing them kind of ascending to heaven after death. In also a very Western way, despite the fact this is a Japanese video game, and they're very much considered to be a desert-dwelling kind of Middle Eastern-inspired people. The fact they're using with a clearly Christian motif here is very odd. I guess they wanted something Westerners would recognize. If they had the little white triangle, little cloth thing on their heads, no one would probably know what it was all about. Apparently they're planning to come back and haunt us. Well, we've dealt with ghosts before, so it's not a big deal. Alright, and that, everyone, is Dungeon 5, the Spirit Temple, down. And now we get, in what all likelihood will be, the penultimate heart container. Because, well, because I don't think I'm getting any more heart pieces after this. And there's only one more heart container in the Shadow Temple. Alright, let's get out of here. And again, for the penultimate time, we come to the Chamber of Sages. And, surprise, surprise, Noburu is the Spirit Sage. As I know we only met her recently, but she is someone we've met in our past, and that's kind of the theme for this. This also means we now know the identity of all 6 sages, because we were told by Sheik that Impa was the Sage of Shadows. Yeah, it's kind of funny how she turned out to be the Sage of Spirit, but now she's going to help us take down Ganondorf. So, well, they're gone, but yes. Yeah, she finally starts calling us by our name now. Yeah, a lot of people wanted her to keep that promise, by the way. There's been, like I said, there's been a lot of fan fiction written about that. Well, in the game, we're going to get the Spirit Medallion. That's 5 down, we have 1 more to go, and we have plenty of time to go get it. Alright, we've received the Spirit Medallion. We have only 1 more dungeon to go. Yeah, if only she knew what would become such a handsome man. She wishes she kept that promise they made back then. You can see why so many people actually fall for her and find her so attractive. Because, yeah, she's definitely designed to cater to the fan base a bit. Alright, so now we're back outside the Desert Colossus. Which means, unfortunately, if we want to go to the Gerudo Training Grounds, I have only 2 options. 1, I could try crossing the Haunted Wasteland one more time, this time in reverse, which will probably not go very well. Or 2, I can teleport us, well, probably to the Temple of Time because it's the closest, and then come back on horseback. Probably the best option, so I'll probably do that. And yes, I'm going to try the Gerudo Training Grounds. I make no promises I'm going to get through it, because it's not easy. And it's also not necessary, but first let's visit the Great Fairy here so she can heal us up, because, well, my health might have been restored, but my magic's a little low, so let's get that fully restored. That way I can save my potions for when I need them. Yeah, alright, well, we'll come back, probably not to this fountain, though, he was pretty out of the way. Alright, yeah, so time for the Prelude of Light, and let's go to the Temple of Time. If it turns out the Gerudo Training Grounds is too difficult, or we'll just go to the Shadow Temple after this. Because I kind of would like to get that done, because we're only a little under halfway through the video. Could easily get another temple in. They haven't taken much more than an hour thus far. Technically that one would have taken over an hour, but it's only because it's divided into 2 halves. But for the moment, I want to at least attempt to try and get the ice arrows in the Gerudo Training Grounds, because it'd be nice to get all the items in this game, and we're only short 2. Alright, so let's summon Epona, and let's get going. Yeah, this is the downside of the Spirit Temple being on the other side of a cursed desert that we have to cross. From the Gerudo Fortress. We can't just teleport back there. Well, probably one of the last times we're going to be riding on Epona, because as I mentioned, I'm not going after all the big Poes in Hyrule Field. That's a waste of time just to get another bottle. I should do perfectly fine with the ones I have now, especially with going to have 16 hearts by looks of it going into the finale. The end game, so that'd be nice. Did a lot better on the side stuff than I thought I was going to, because Ocarina of Time is, as I said, not a game I know by heart or anything, the way I know Link to the Past. So, yeah. Doing quite well so far. Alright, oh, we can get up here with ease this time. As you can see, the carpenters have fixed the bridge. Alright, we should probably check in with them before we proceed. Yeah, we did. It was really annoying. Yeah, it's a nice bridge. Alright, and here they are. Apparently we have the witches in charge of the Gerudo Fortress. Gerudo are kind of going back to being normal again. Yeah, Naburu was brainwashed by Ganondorf's followers. Yeah, we knew that. Yeah, it was all Ganondorf was behind all this. There we go. So apparently the Gerudo are going to prosper without now the fact that that's dealt with. Well, that's good for them. It also means we no longer have to worry about going through all that again. Okay, and this is probably just going to be rupees or something. Yeah. Alright. Well, we might get the 30 golden Skulltulas we need. At 29. I only need one more. Okay, yes, there's definitely... I mean, I can definitely get that. That's not going to be an issue. I just have to find one. There's several in the Shadow Temple coming up, even if there's a few I missed in some of the previous temples. Alright, so the Gerudo Training Grounds are just up here. It's the barred gate we couldn't get into before. Right over there. Alright, so we just have to talk to her. No, her, not read the sign. Talk to her. Yeah, we have the membership card. Alright, it's 10 rupees to get inside. Honestly, the fact that they're charging us admission is kind of ridiculous when you realize just how annoying this is going to be. Alright, welcome to the Gerudo Training Grounds. The most annoying side dungeon in Legend of Zelda history. I'm not exaggerating. Honestly, this is why I'm making no promises we're gonna get through this. Because this is a series of rooms with a series of puzzles, traps, and enemies that serve as trials that we have to do under time limits usually, and various other difficult old restrictions and handicaps placed on us. As you see here, we have to defeat all enemies within a limited time. That's one of the easy ones. All in the name of collecting a whole bunch of small keys to get to the center of a central kind of maze of gates, I guess you want to call it. It's difficult to explain. Alright, if I'm going to play aggressively, I'm going to need to use Nehru's Love here to mitigate the damage. So I only have a minute here, less than a minute now to take care of 2 stuffers. So, yeah. This is part of the reason why I was hesitant to come here. Is because, honestly, this is not a very fun section. After the Spirit Temple, it's actually almost the opposite. Right, there we go. Alright, so this is the first of, I think, about like close to a dozen small keys in this place. We don't technically need all of them, but we do need a few of them to get to the ice arrows. And the fact that the ice arrows are locked in this dungeon is just massively annoying. Alright, so we have another silver rupee gathering puzzle here. Again, under a time limit. Alright, there's one. Avoid the boulders. But we can't take this too cautiously because we only have a minute and a half to do this. Yeah, so this kind of combines a lot of things I don't really like doing in video games. It combines time limits. It combines just really annoying gameplay. And it just puts limitations on what you're supposed to do, because you basically can only do one or two things to get through here. And if I'm sounding exasperated already, there's a good reason for this, because this was not a fun section, not just because I'm going to constantly walk into firewalls. It's the fact that they decided to place the ice arrows, which are quite useful in this game as a magical item, at a side dungeon, which becomes available to, on the average playthrough, at the end of the game. The only reason I'm not at the end of the game now is because I decided to go to the Spirit Temple first, instead of going to the Shadow Temple. Most players are not going to do that. So this is kind of annoying. So we need several dungeon items to get through here now. Which includes the bombs, the silver gauntlets, and a bunch of other stuff. The hook shot. We also have to fight some wolfos here. I do a little quick spin attack there. All the while, we have to do this in one go, by the way, because it resets if we leave, I'm pretty sure. Alright. So let's cast Inspire to get rid of these wolves. And, as I said, the reward at the end of this is the ice arrows, which are nice, but we do not require them to beat the game. And at this point, most players are going to want to beat the game. I mean, if you are a completionist and you want to 100% the game, I understand, but still. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure at this point you can already tell I'm not looking forward to this. I mean, I already said it last time, I kind of wish I had already gone to the Shadow Temple first instead, but I really wanted to showcase this because the ice arrows have one interesting interaction. Yeah, she's going to explain to me what to do with the giant block, because this thing's pushed me up against it. The ice arrows have an interesting interaction with the boss of the Shadow Temple, which is kind of the reasons I wanted to come here first. Alright, so this should be key number 2, I think. No, it's just arrows. Oh, I'm remembering why they're giving us arrows now. One of the puzzles coming up is really annoying. Alright. So we need the lens of truth, and we need the long shot to get up here. Alright, this switch will open that. Lock that barred door. Alright, yeah. I think we should go through the door first. More like likes. This is becoming a running theme here. I hate fighting these things in close space, and that's why. Yeah, stole my Zora's tunic. Give it back. I like wearing blue. Okay, I have it back now. Ah, back in blue. That's better. Alright, this is kind of a minor criticism of this place, apart from the fact how confusing this layout is and just how annoying it is to get all the keys you need to get the ice arrows, which again are just at the end of the game for no apparent reason. They also throw some of the most annoying enemies in the game at you in here, like lakes. Alright, surely one of these two chests is the second key we need. It's probably the other one that we had to materialize. Oh, right. They're not done with traps either, trap chests yet either. So just no, it's just a huge rupee? What? A golden rupee? 2-1? I'm already regretting I did this. Yeah, this chamber, I remember this. So we need to use our bow and fire arrows into the eyes of this Cyclopean statue here. There are 4 faces, each with a single eye. We need to fill it with arrows. Also, there's no timer shown, but there is a time limit because the eyes will reset. And if there's one thing I've complained about consistently about this game's controls, apart from, the camera, it's, in the horse riding, it's the bow. Oh, and by the way, if we fall in the lava, that happens. And you have to start all over. With 1 fewer heart. So, as I mentioned, you don't need all the keys in here, so you technically don't have to do all the puzzles. But as you can see, they only hand them out on occasion. So you kind of need as many as you can. There are some chests in the actual maze itself, which I know have small keys in them. And yeah, this is basically just turning out to be a complete waste of arrows, because I can't hit anything. It doesn't really bode well. Oh, I hit one finally. I mean, the whole spinning thing is annoying. And very disorienting, so it isn't the easiest to aim properly. Especially against a moving target. Well, we're moving. The target's not. But it's the same thing in the end. This isn't necessarily down to 4 arrows. Okay, so yeah. And by the time I rotate back, it's done. So needless to say, I can't do this one at the moment because I no longer have the arrows. And it was around this point when I was playing, I was starting to get frustrated in this area and wishing I'd just gone on the Shadow Temple because I could have done that with ease. Alright, so we have to deal with these slug mobs, which is good. We can get some magic out of this. And we have to deal with some fire keys. And then we have to actually get around to solving the puzzle in here. There we go. Alright, I have barely any arrows left, so let's use the hook shot. As I said previously, I'm pretty sure the improved quivers are behind some of the archery games, and I don't really want to spend time on those. 30 arrows is perfectly fine for anything reasonable. Unfortunately, this area is not reasonable. Speaking of arrows, but I know why they're giving us those. It's only 10, though. That's not enough. Alright, Megaton Hammer time. I haven't had to use this in a while. Alright, there we go. So, the ice switch is presumably how we get out of here. Yeah, okay, open the chest. Now we get the second small key. Alright. Huh, interesting. They actually bothered to have the Ring of Fire come back on. They don't normally do that. usually they just decide, well, you've already got the key, that's enough. Yeah, there's no map in here as well, by the way, so it's easy to get turned around. That's where I came. I do not want to do that. Oh, this one. Okay. This is not easy. So we need to collect the silver rupees without falling in the lava, because you saw what happened when that happens. Alright, that's 2 down. Alright. Get to be. No, I think that's too far. No. Yep. And we have to redo it all again now. All over again. Yeah, you can see why I started to get frustrated with this. Alright, so I was off to a good start last time, but no, I'm going. Oh. Okay, that was twice I almost fell in the lava. You know I don't do well with lava to begin with in volcanoes. In Zelda games, well, this one's no exception. That's the way out, which is probably where I should be heading. I think I could have jumped that one. Alright, and here we go. This switch is timed, by the way. So now we have to navigate across this sea of lava under a time limit to get to where the final rupee is to get before the ring of fire springs back up. I know I cannot go that far. Oh yeah, on top of all those lava bubbles. And there we go. Time's up. Yeah, so the hook shot is too slow, so we just need to hop around. And I suspect this is another spot where they expected me to have the hover boots. To be fair to them, on this time, this is this is just side content. So at this point, you can come back whenever you want to get with everything. But I'll be honest. If I went to the Shadow Temple, I probably would not come back for this afterwards. After all, I'm still trying to beat this game before the remake and stuff. This is still sort of a race. It's just one where I'm basically so far ahead at this point in the game that it's almost feels like a waste to not try doing this, even though it's starting to feel like a massive waste of time and really annoying. This is the whole tortoise and hare moment where I'm actually the hare at this point, as opposed to where I'm usually the tortoise. Yeah, and I'm gonna fall. Yeah. I'm starting to get a feeling this actually may not be possible without the hover boots. Well, Nintendo did not make the mandatory for the Spirit Temple, but honestly, if they made it mandatory for this, it's not that big of a deal. This is side content. And besides, they expected most people to have the hover boots by this point. They probably did not expect many people to come here just because, well, the Spirit Medallion is clearly before the Shadow Medallion. So clearly it was the original intention for us to do this first. Okay, and now I'm just... Alright, I'm running low on hearts here. I do have a fairy, which is a full heal if I die. But this really is starting to get tedious. That would be well into the Shadow Temple at this point if I just gone there first. Okay, yeah, and I'm just missing now. Alright, I'm positive this isn't possible without the hover boots. Yeah, I think we definitely needed them for this part. I have 1.5 hearts left before I have to just use my fairy. Okay, I managed to make it to there that time. So, yeah, as I'm sure some of you will be able to tell here, I'm not thrilled by this, and I'm just... Oh, there we go. Alright, I'm down to one. I'm down to half a heart. I gave this an honest try, but let's be realistic. This is not worth the agony for the ice arrows. This is part of the reason why I prefer Majora's Mask to Ocarina of Time. The placement of all the magic items and everything else is much better in that game. I do not believe I can go back this way. Alright, we have to go back the other way. That's unfortunate, because that means we have to go through areas that we haven't been through, which means there's stuff we might have to do to get out of here, and I have half a heart. Well, I can stop by the forest temple if I need fairies, because there's a fairy fountain right there. Speaking of which, can I just leave with the ocarina? I honestly don't know if I can do this. You can do it in other Zelda games. You can use the magic mirror to get back to the entrance of a temple. You can use the ocarina to leave in Link's Awakening. How about this one? Alright, Minuet of the Forest. Get me out of here! You cannot warp here. Alright, I have no idea if that's just because for every dungeon, or if it's specifically for this one or not. I'm not sure. Well, that's irritating. Well, it looks like we have to go through here at the very least to get out. Joy. Alright. Well, let's see if we can get out of here without dying, because it'd be nice to, you know, keep my fairy. I actually haven't had to use a fairy yet, actually, to recover healthy. I just realized that. As I said, Ocarina of Time is not that difficult. Except for this place. Oh, for crying out loud. 2 Dynalphos and a Beamos. Okay. Is that door better be open? It is. Good. Alright, so that's the loop. The central door there will take you into the labyrinth if you want to try that yourselves. I'm leaving. Alright, quick stop to the Forest Temple's Fairy Fountain, and then we'll go to the Shadow Temple. And I want to make this clear. I'm getting the Shadow Temple done today because I want to accomplish something else with the remaining second half of this video. We're getting 2 dungeons done in one day, people. Alright, so just a couple moblins stand between us and the Fairy Fountain. I have half a heart. Definitely going to be using the bow here. There we go. Gonna be down slightly on magic, but that's fine. The Shadow Temple does require us to use a fair bit of magic, which means there's usually plenty of magic jars everywhere for you to refill it, so not that big of a deal. Alright. Just grab as many fairies as we can here to heal us. There we go. I think we got about 4 of them there. Alright. Now, let's finally play the Nocturne of Shadows like Navi's been asking us to do for a while now. And let's go to the Shadow Temple. There we go. Oh, there was a golden skulltula right there. Well, in the off chance that there are no golden skulltulas in here, which I highly doubt. I'm pretty sure I remember a few of them at least. We know exactly where to find one now. And it's easily accessible, so we'll definitely get to the 30 that we need for the next upgrade, even though it's completely pointless at this point. And this, by the way, is the one thing you need Din's Fire for. Lighting all these torches at once. It's not possible with just the fire arrows. Alright. We finally enter the Shadow Temple. Alright, and now we're here in the Shadow Temple. Probably my least favorite temple in all of Ocarina of Time. And it's not just because the fact when I was playing this as a child, originally everything in here was terrifying and traumatic. No, it's also a very annoying dungeon. Lots of illusions. I like using the Lens of Truth though, so that's fine. Lots of traps. Lots of invisible pathways and walls. And lots and lots and lots of undead enemies. And it's honestly just an annoying layout, if I'm being honest. So I have to move this statue to point at the one real skull here, which is this one, to open the passageway we have to proceed. Over there. However, we cannot reach there just yet, because we still do not have the hover boots. So guess what we're going to get now? I've made reference to them a few times now. The other kind of annoying thing about this is there's a whole bunch of, well, as you're about to see, these sort of foreboding messages and hints by various spirits in this place, because this place is haunted by the souls of the dead, obviously, because it's crawling with undead. So it kind of is like Navi, but worse, because at least you can ignore Navi. Yeah, this is also probably the darkest dungeon in this area, not to be confused with Darkest Dungeon. Yeah, they're gonna keep repeating these things all the time. Just try and ignore them. Oh yeah, tons of Redeads, tons of Gibdos, tons of Keese, and worse. Stalfos. Lots of things. Lots of wall masters, lots of floor masters. Basically every undead enemy you can think of in here. Except Pogues. Despite, you know, being the haunted temple, there are no ghosts. Well, no Pogues, at least. I guess. Depending how you want to define the term ghost, anything undead can be considered a ghost. It depends on how you want to define the term, especially because it's defined differently in different cultures around the world. In English, of course, ghost is just like the spirit of the dead. It's usually incorporeal. But not in every culture, especially and Japan has one of them that has very different definitions for ghosts. Lots of different types. Alright, map I think is what's in here. The map's in here, I think. Yes, it is. Good. This dungeon is kind of a confusing layout. Not as confusing as the water temple, but it's bigger. So, yeah. Now, I'm pretty sure you're all looking at the time left in the video wondering, am I going to be able to make it through this? Yes. I'm telling you this now. I said it before. I was adamant about getting through the Shadow Temple, so I basically sped run this. So, we're getting through this temple in under an hour. Honestly, I probably could have done this video, well, maybe not, I don't know. It would double the length of videos at this point. We'd be on video 14 as opposed to, you know, video 7. So, it's kind of, I don't know. Maybe I would have been able to do it, I don't know. I kind of think it works better, though, as a 2-hour mark video, because, crying out loud. We have the Eye of Truth. Just let us through. Oh, yeah. Dead Hand is back for his return. Alright. Well, let's see how he likes Naru's love. Because he's not going to be able to... He might be able to grab me, but he's not going to be able to hurt me at all. On the other hand, the hands cannot grab me, and he's not coming up because... Okay. I needed that laugh after how annoying the Gerudo Training Grounds was. Okay. I think I found a good short. Definitely to make a short. This is hilarious. I'm completely immune. He can't do anything to me. Okay. Yeah. So, not only did I speedrun this temple, I speedrun it despite the fact I was doing some very frivolous stuff like this. I didn't know this was going to happen. I was just curious. I was like, I should probably cast Neighbor's Love here because to avoid taking too much damage. And I found this funny interaction. That's what I love about these sorts of games. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it's fun time's over. So time for the actual mini-boss. Alright, so for the actual fight itself, this is no different than the one in the bottom of the well. The only real difference is that there are 2 more hands now than there were 6 now instead of 4, and they're in a different position, which is slightly more annoying because the room structure is smaller. That being said, I mean, we're just fighting the same sort of undead T-Rex thing we did last time. And despite being an undead creature, he doesn't like getting hit, apparently. There we go. Down he goes. That's a very unfortunate position for me to pause the screen in. Yeah, quiver all you want. You're dead and you're not coming back. See you in Majora's Mask, which is probably the which I probably will get around to playing at some point. I'm probably going to play as many Zelda games on my channel as I can. And now we finally have the hover boots I've been talking about for the past 2 videos. So, they're kind of similar in appearance to the Pegasus boots, but they work more like the inverse of the iron boots. Basically, they'll just hover above the air, above the ground a bit, which means we have no traction, as it says. We kind of slip and slide along. And the other important thing is they let us cross gaps. Let us float across for like 2 or 3 seconds in midair. So it helps us get further ahead with the little gaps in the way. Well, you'll see what I mean. This is also what we need to get out of here and across the area where we were at before. Alright. Oh good, I don't have to actually redo that. Alright, here we go. This is what the hover boots do. There you go. That's what we need them for. Well, a few more times in the dungeon, obviously. I'm probably not going to wear them too much, because just like the iron boots, they kind of make maneuvering rather difficult. Another one that requires 2 bombs. Weird how some of them require 2 and some of them don't. Yeah, definitely gonna need the lens of truth here. Alright. Doesn't really matter which way we go, we have to go both ways. Oh yeah, this thing. So this kind of Grim Reaper statue with 2 sides is going to spin around like a fan and try and chop us in 2. We take damage every time it hits us, obviously. It doesn't do too much damage, but as you can see, it's very hard to avoid, especially with the hover boots, because we slip and slide while wearing them. This is like being on ice. And, oh. And, yeah, as you can see, the timing is... Yeah, if we stand in the way, we just take damage. So, let's try and avoid that. Alright, so this is where the door opened up. There we go. Key? Yes, it is a key. Alright, good. So, the Shadow Temple takes hiding treasure chests to new extremes. Just like the Spirit Temple, there will be a whole bunch of invisible chests in here that we need a little Lens of Truth for. To be fair to this entire dungeon is kind of based around spirits and illusions, so it makes sense. Alright. Time to play the Sun Song one more time. As I said, there's plenty of Gibdos, plenty of undead in here. We fought Dead Hand. He's basically the only really difficult one. Apart from the boss, obviously. And yeah, time to take off the hover boots for the moment. Because positioning for these things is important. Technically you can burn these things and then they turn into Redeads, but there's no point. The Redeads are not any easier or more difficult to kill than just them. Ironically, I'm pretty sure the Redeads are immune to fire. Alright, the compass. Good. We can now see where the treasure chests are, because that's going to be important, because, as I said, it's very easy to get turned around in this dungeon. Alright, we have to return to this previous chamber now. Alright, so now we need to bomb this wall, and, yeah. There we go. Yeah, I would like to say that this dungeon's the closest Legend of Zelda's ever come to doing a horror game. And they did a really good job on it, because it's really spooky and everything, but, in all honesty, I played Majora's Mask, and that's probably closer, because it actually is kind of a darker take on Zelda games. This probably is considered the darkest Zelda game, despite the fact, I mean, it's dark for a Zelda game. It's dark for a game that's still rated E for everyone. But it's still nowhere close to being a horror game, and yeah, get used to Skulltulas dropping on you in this chamber, by the way. Alright, guillotines. And yeah, you cannot sneak by. You might be able to roll past them if you're quick enough, but just hookshot the thing. Alright, roll through the blades. Oh yeah, on top of everything else, watch for shadows of wall masters now. Because nothing says like a really annoying dungeon like having to be brought back to the very start of it by this disembodied, zombified hand. Seriously, everyone who complains about the water temple, I find the shadow temple infinitely worse. Alright, so we need the hover boots for this part, I'm pretty sure. Alright, this next room is really annoying. You'll see why. It's mainly this part here. This guillotine is slightly faster than all the other ones, which means if you try and go through it normally, it knocks you off. And congratulations, you're back at the start of that long pathway again, and now you have to do it all over again. And of course, the Skulltulas are back. Oh, oh. Alright, so as you can see why this is kind of an annoying section, but it really does just ram home just how good of a job I did getting through this, because we have a little over half an hour left to get through this dungeon, and this is one of the bigger ones. Fortunately, there's multiple floors, but not a lot on each floor, I guess is how it works out. Alright. And now we have to deal with the Wall Master again. Alright. And now we need the hover boots again. And now we need to make it through the guillotines without getting hit. Again. This is why this room is kind of annoying, because if you get hit at all and fall off, you have to start all over. And it's very easy to do so. See? There we go. Alright, third try of this now. I didn't bother taking the hover boots off this time. Yeah, to be fair, it's not really helping me get through this section, just having the Kokiri boots on, is it? just try to get frustrated. I try to roll through it. Okay. Now we need to go with the guillotine yet again. And fight the Wall Master yet again. Seriously, I don't understand why people complain about the Water Temple so much. It's lovely compared to this. And not just because it's nice and tranquil and... There are no Wall Masters in the Water Temple, seriously. Okay, camera. The camera and the hover boots combined are just so annoying. There we go. Alright, now put the hover boots on, and hopefully we can get through this this time. Alright, we've made it through these ones several times, though. Alright, this is the moment of truth. I think I have to roll through it. Yeah, okay, roll. Hover boots. Yes, we did it! Now we just have to fight this Stalfos. Alright, so technically we can push this thing off if we want, but we can now can float around too. So from here, there are two paths we can take. I'll show them to you in a moment. There we go. We can't knock it off. I knew we could. Alright, this is the better way to go first, I think. If for no other reason, because there's a door here. As soon as we exit this room, our respawn point we fall off becomes the new entrance to the room. Alright, okay, there's a like there. Yeah, as you can see, we can see the layout of the dungeon now. We've come far, but there's still a far ways to go. Oh yeah, now there's an invisible Reaper statue, just in case you thought the visible one was bad enough. Alright, we have a like to deal with. Nope. Aim lower? Yeah, I think it's just the... Okay. I'm outside his blind sight radius, that's why it couldn't see me. Alright, we have to deal with these keys. I should use the hookshot to conserve arrows. We need the bow for the boss fight. Alright, yes, roll under the blade. That's good. There we go. Is that all of them? There's one more. Nope, that's all of them. Don't ask me what that is. Ah, there we go. We finally have the 30th Golden Skulltula. There we go. We don't have to go back to the Forest Temple after all. Oh, okay. Invisible chest. Invisible chest first probably has something important. No, it's just arrows. Alright. You should have something important, right? No, it's just rupees. Okay, we didn't have to come this way at all. Okay, I was wrong. Well, that's not entirely true. I'm not entirely wrong. Because as I mentioned, now if we fall in this large room where there's lots of places to fall, we respawn at this door. Which is a much more convenient spot. Alright. Now we go back to where we came. And now we need to go to this platform which constantly is rising up and down. Here we go. Oh dear! Okay, I think I have to do that when it's on the way down. Alright. Here you go. Demonstrates what I said. Alright. Just ignore the Stalfos. He wants to follow us and fall to a doom it can. Alright. Silver rupees over there, locked over there. We don't have the key, so yeah, that's why we have to go. But we probably should go this way first. Honestly, the hover boots, the little traction kind of helps here. We kind of skate around things a little bit. Also, it helps us if we have to, you know, accidentally go off the edge. There we go. This one took one bomb. Why? I wonder what the difference is. Some of them just take more bombs, and some of them just take one. It's weird. It seems almost random at times. Oh, this room. Alright, this room is not nearly as bad as it seems. So what we have to do is use this block, which is hidden by an invisible wall, to basically serve as a shield, essentially, against the spike platforms that keep falling down. Because as you see here, it'll stop the spikes. There's nothing in there, I don't think, no. I honestly thought this dungeon gate had up more magic than this. I should probably conserve what magic I have left. Oh, I'm about to make a really big mistake. Yep, there we go. Alright, so now I have to do it all over again. This room actually isn't nearly as bad as it seems, though. It's one of those ones where it looks worse than it actually is. Because all we have to do is push this into the middle to where it's now blocking both spike drop. I'm not sure what to call these things. Like crushers, spiked crushers? I don't know. No idea what to call these things. I just call them spiked platforms because on the other side we can use them as platforms in a moment. Okay, keep pushing. There we go. Alright, now that it's on this side blocking the second one, we can get on the other side and pull it the rest of the way, because we don't need to block both of them. And yes, there is a golden skulltula in there. I no longer care. Oh, I probably do care about this chest, though. Arrows, well, we do need those for the upcoming boss. Alright, so we have to pull it into position here. Once it's in position, we can now, it will still block that last spike platform. We can climb up, and now we can get on top and use the spike platform as a literal platform. Alright, this is the key, I suspect, because there's no other treasure chest in here. No, it's not. Oh, no, there is another one. I have to use the switch. There it is. Alright, that's the key. Yep, okay. Another time we're have to use the hover boots. Yes. Use the magic item they gave you in the dungeon to solve the puzzles in the dungeon. It's classic Zelda formula. Or I can just use the hookshot. There we go. And there's the key we need. Other jars? No, just more hearts. That's fine. I still have 2 green potions, so I'm not too concerned. Oof. Alright, so now we have to take the remaining pathway, which is over here. Through this guillotine, onto the invisible platforms, one of which moves along a path. We definitely need the hover boots here. Because we might have to roll through, but nope, we're fine here. Alright, well, there's no other way of getting across here apart from using the hover boots. Alright, through the locked door and on to the other side. Alright, yet another silver rupee puzzle. This time we have invisible spikes and redeads. Well, in that case, let's take care of the redeads first. I don't need them latching onto me and leeching the life out of me. I don't think they actually heal from that, but it's what it looks like. Alright, get behind them and just hack them to pieces with the sword. Oh good, they're going to drop magic jars. Alright, we had to kill them too because we got a chest out of this. Good, now there's another one. I like it when the game cooperates. Alright, now we just have to use the hookshot targets to get the silver rupees. Some of which are in mid-air. Might as well see what's in the chest. Just rupees. Alright, so we need a key to get out of this room, but I suspect we have to go through the other door for that. Because there's no other treasure chest in here because we have the compass. See? See everyone who says the compass isn't useful? I mean, I assume everyone else who tries this just plays Ocarina of Time so much they just have the game memorized. Well, I've played the game probably close to a dozen times in my life, but still I don't have the game memorized. I do more or less have A Link to the Past memorized, to be fair. Alright. Hover boots to get the last rupee. The hover boots also help protect us from the spikes, which is kind of nice. Ah, this room. Alright. Oh, there's another golden skull-tula. I probably will end up getting that one just because it's there. Alright, take out the keys first before I take flight, because otherwise they're really annoying to fight. Besides, I think we have to kill them anyway. Alright, now what we do, take a bomb flower and throw it into this skull pot that's on fire. And it explodes. And there's the key we need. Unfortunately, we only have the key, but we still need to kill the keys to get out of this room. Because, as you see, there are bars now keeping the door closed. Alright, I might as well just grab this while I'm here. I mean, there's no real point, but just in case the Golden Skull-tula is one of the enemies that this game counts as, you know, keeping this room sealed, we have to get rid of it anyway. Probably not, but just to be on the safe side. Alright, there it is. Get down here and attack me so I can block you with my shield and then shoot you with my hookshot. There we go. Now I can see the hookshot target, and up I go. And now we can go through the door. Oh, right, I remember this now. Remnants of the Wind Temple that never was. We now need to use the iron boots to navigate through here without getting blown back by the wind. And the iron boots actually help here because they slow us down enough that we can pause before we get hit by that Skull-tula. Alright, there are two ways you can do this. The easiest way is just to hook across. You can also use the hover boots if you want, but you have to switch back to the iron boots before you get blown back. Alright, yes. Now, you go down. Alright, iron boots again, yeah, because there's a chest in there we need. Alright, despite the fact that I wasted like 20 minutes on that stupid Gerudo Training Grounds, we're making very good time here. Yet more redeads, and that means yet another Sun Song. Also, apparently, for some reason, playing the Sun Song in here causes a fairy to spawn. Do not ask me why. I don't think that does it anywhere else in the game. Alright, so... Oh, that's your chest. Alright, what do you have to sell me? Alright, the spirits are whispering in the room. Those who have the sacred feet should let the wind guide them. Then they will be led to the hidden path. That'll make sense in a moment. More arrows. Okay, so we didn't actually have to come in here just for the hint. Alright, let's go back out then. Alright, so as it was hinted, there's a hidden path there that we can see with the lens of truth. Once we wear the hover boots, we will be blown by the wind over here, and the hover boots will let us stay moving long enough to get through. And here we have some Gibdos, and a locked door, and a bunch of other stuff. So, Sun Song one more time. Yeah, that's one thing I do miss in Majora's Mask. There's no Sun Song. Granted, there are several other ways of making Gibdos and arenas harmless, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. That old expression. Alright, I do not think this is the key. No, it's just rupees. I like doing that fake out in this. So we can tell by the map where the key is, and this is a rare instance where it's not the lens of truth we need. So there's this mound of... I'm just going to say it's dirt, because who knows what it actually is. It has a crack in it. I'm pretty sure at this point you should realize that we need a bomb. And now we need Lens of Truth to find the hidden chest that was invisible under the mound of earth to get the key. Someone at Nintendo really went to great troubles to make this dungeon as difficult as possible. And I'm still getting through it faster than most of the other ones. Okay, this room. Alright. Just so you know, as I move this stone block, there is a path back up. You can take that to get back up if you want to leave the dungeon in a hurry. There's just one downside. This stone block resets, so it's not worth it. I think there is a golden Skulltula up there. But as I've said, it doesn't really matter. From here on out, it's just we have to take this boat now, which is what this is here. We have to get up to it. And then we follow it as far as we can, and we're heading towards the boss already. So, despite, you know, the fact that I wasted a bunch of time on the Gerudo Training Grounds, we're actually not wasting too much time. It's actually going to be close to get done, but I am getting it done now. Good. That probably means next chapter might be the final one. In the meantime, I'm getting ahead of myself. We need to play... Yeah, I'm going to save here, because this area is really annoying. This is a... this can be quite dangerous if we're not careful. Alright, so Zelda's Lullaby to start the ship. Alright, so now we're on this phantom barge, essentially, with the face of a really weird-looking pelagonal bird. Alright, so we have to follow it through the mist, water, I'm not sure which. And yeah, I'm going to need the hover boots for this. Alright, so we have some Stalfos to worry about here. Technically speaking, I could just ignore them. Or just cast Nehru's Love and completely ignore them. Because yes, I said then there's two, there's a second one that shows up. You also can just knock them off, just like you did before, because they do fall. It's only in rare instances but I seem to be able to float. Alright, we killed that one. Alright. Now we need to get off here. Technically, we can take a bit longer if we want, but I do not want to because why bother? We're here. Alright, so the boss is just across that gap, but we still don't have the boss key. Fortunately, we can go this way to get the boss key. I'm going to start with that. So as you can see, the ship will start sinking at this point, and I'm going to get to the safe platform, but we already did that. Alright. Alright, this last section is an invisible maze that has some floor masters in it. Alright, so I need 2 different forms of magic for this. I need to be able to see the walls to navigate. However, I also need Din's Fire to kill the mini ones, so I'm going to just swap this around a bit. There we go. Blast them all with Fireball. Oh, I missed one. Oh, but I got the other one on the other side of the wall. Alright, recast again. Just so they don't multiply and suck my life force and then grow large. Alright, so one of these rooms, I don't think it's... Alright, what's in here? Oh, good, an invisible floor master. And now the mini ones are invisible. Well, Fireball will hit them all the same. Din's Fire is so useful. I still prefer Ether from A Link to the Past because it freezes things as opposed to burning them, but Din's Fire is still good. Also, they give us plenty of magic jars in here at this point, which is nice, because they realize we're going to probably need to use a fair bit of magic here. No, so not the boss key, but it is a small key, so we did need to come here. They're back. We can ignore that one, though, because we just have to go this way. Alright, Din's Fire one more time. Oh no! One of them survived! Yeah, so this is what they do. They basically suck the life out of you, and they use it to grow large, which means when you kill one of them, you can actually end up fighting 3 more of them. Okay, this room is actually pointless. However, I'm going to do it anyway, apparently, because, I don't know, I just want to complete the last... This is the penultimate dungeon of the game. So now we have basically a merry-go-round of those flaming skull pots. And I definitely recommend using the bomb flowers here to save your own bombs. You might need them for other things. They provide you with bomb flowers, use those. Yeah, there's really no point to do this, by the way, but I'm going to do it anyway. Just for the sake of completion, I guess. Should go without saying that the boss key is not in here. And like last time, I don't think there's even a key. I think if we just get rupees for doing this. Yeah, there we go. That's it. Alright. Back out we go. Alright, ignore the floor masters now because you don't have to fight them. And this last room here is where the boss key is. And there's a couple ways you can deal with these things, but these spikes that wobble and move towards you, but they're made of wood. So I'm just going to cast Din's Fire and burn them. And also burn the redeads that are on the side of them. So they are vulnerable to fire. Alright. Well, now I'm going to freeze them in place while they burn. Just so I can finish them off. Alright, boss key time. We definitely need this. Wow, they burned for a long time, actually. Alright, and in here we have rupees. Yeah, because at this point in the game, that's what we need. More rupees. To be fair, this is one of the easier Zelda games for money, and some of them are a bit harder, but I mean, they give you an endless refilling room of rupees you can go to. Alright, and this is probably why the fire arrows are not an optional item, because we now need to shoot them at these bomb flowers to blow up this statue and have it collapse to serve as a bridge for us to cross over there. And now I need to switch back to using the regular arrows because you cannot have two forms of magic active at the same time, which means if you have the Lens of Truth active, we can't use fire arrows. Which does mean, because we need the Lens of Truth for this upcoming boss fight, getting the ice arrows probably would have just been a novelty anyway. Alright, last room before the boss. We now need to... we should probably use the hover boots for this. We need to make it across here using on these invisible platforms. And the hover boots will help us get across. But there are not there's not very many places to stand here. And they are slippery, as we mentioned. Alright. Save before we go in there, because this is going to be honestly one of the more difficult boss fights in this game. Alright, so we enter here only to hover over this pit for a brief moment before falling down onto a massive drum surrounded by a lake of poison water. Alright, and now we have two massive disembodied zombified hands playing the drums. Permit me to introduce you to the boss of the Shadow Temple, the Shadow Spirit that ragdolled Sheik and myself around earlier. Bongo Bongo, the Phantom Shadow Beast. Alright, oh, yeah. We don't actually need the hover boots for the boss fight itself. Yeah, so we do need the Lens of Truth. Yeah, okay. Now, the downside to this boss fight is he has two hands which will try and grab you. Similar to Morpha, he'll throw you around and into the poison water. So we need to use the bow to stun his hands, and that's what the ice arrows are for, by the way. You can actually freeze the hands, and they'll stay frozen for a while, just as they're stunned, and the other hand will go and actually beat on the ice to try and break it free. Which is a nice little interaction, even though it's not very useful. Because then we need to use the Lens of Truth to spot its eye and shoot it with an arrow. Or, you can also use the hook shot. However, it's not really necessary. Yeah, avoid his attacks as much as possible. I know it's not the easiest thing because he moves around a lot and he disrupts you with his own little rhythm here with his drum. Alright, and then hit him with an arrow, and now hit him with the sword. Every time you hit one of his hands, they will either drop arrows or a magic jar, just so you don't run out of resources. I'm pretty sure the hands are immune to damage from the arrows when they are in the middle of doing an attack animation. Afterwards, though, they become vulnerable again. There we go. So, there's not much else to say about this boss fight. Oh yeah, apart from the fact that his drumming does speed up and does get much quicker as the boss fight goes along, as he takes more damage, which does make this slightly harder. He is probably, honestly, one of the hardest bosses in the game. Just because of this. That and his damage output's a lot higher than most of them. No, I missed. Oh, he also can knock you into the poison water here, and... Oh, I died. There we go. First fairy used in the entire game. I almost made it through this entire game without any deaths. Oh well. Well, it was a technically count as a death. I came back from the fairy at this point. This game doesn't keep track of things like that. So as you can see, if you're not quick enough, the hands will recover from being shot with an arrow. Oh, if you get it right, you actually can. If you're quick enough, you actually can get them in the animation when they're attacking you. There we go! And that, everyone, is the Shadow Temple completed in record time, under an hour. Alright, you should have stayed in the bottom of the well where it was safe. Back into the shadows with you. Alright, so now the undead shadow monster that was plaguing Kakariko Village is dealt with. And here we have it. The final heart container we're going to get in this game. So, we have 16 hearts for the end game. Speaking of which, there is nothing left for us to do apart from the end game, really. So, one last time, let's go to the Chamber of Sages. Where Impa has been waiting very patiently for me while I went off script and went to the Spirit Temple first. Yeah, she's the only one not really surprised to see us, I don't think. Because, well, she knew Zelda put her faith in us. This also means we're going to finally get some news about Zelda, because for the first time since the 7 years have passed. Yeah, we saw that. Yeah, they didn't put up much of a fight. Yeah, well, we have the Ocarina, so we managed to keep it out of his hands. Unfortunately, we kind of let him into the temple by accident. Sorry. Well, we're gonna go take care of that next. Yeah. Princess Zelda is safe. There we go. We have confirmation that Zelda is safe from Impa. And soon we're going to run into her. And she will explain everything. And that is when we'll work with the 6 sages to defeat the evil king, Ganondorf. Yeah, and that's where we'll be going next. And here we go. The 6th and final medallion. I kind of wish these things were more than just glorified keepsakes. There we go. We've saved all of 6 sages now. Yeah, don't worry. We'll look out for her. It's kind of our job. Alright, and now, because we've gone over the 2-hour mark, something is going to happen here you'll all notice. So, for context, my computer screensaver is disabled when I am recording and doing voiceovers and stuff. So, because it went over the 2-hour mark, it went dark for a moment, and that caused issues with my recording, which means for the remainder of this, we don't have any audio, apart from what I'm going to put on here now. The good news is, it doesn't matter, really, for this last part. So, yeah. That's going to be an issue. The good news is we're done for now. So it doesn't realistically matter. So we're going to stop here for today because we're at the 2-hour mark. And next time, we'll deal with the rest of the game, basically the end game. I can't think of anything else we would want to do. We'll be going to face Ganon in his tower. We'll reunite with Zelda at some point, according to Impa. We will go get another fairy at the Forest Temple to resupply that, and I will promise to go to Kakariko Village because we're right here anyway, and we'll get the next wallet upgrade. Until next week then, thank you for watching, everyone. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and please join me here again next time when we will have our exciting conclusion and answer the question, can I beat Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time before the remake releases? And at this point, I think it's pretty clear. The answer is yes. Goodbye, everyone.